On this lesson, we are going to learn what are Laravel controllers. So controllers are basically classes that live between routes, views, and models. They execute your business logic that you want to do when a specific route is called. Controllers by default are installed in the app HTTP controllers directory. And to create a controller, it's very simple. You just need to write PHP artisan, make controller, and then you call it, for instance, contact us controller. So we are just going to follow up the example that we gave from the previous lessons about the contact us form. So now we are going to create a controller to then start putting the logic inside and also for using it and enrich it for the next lessons. So when I click enter, you take a look here on the left on this folder that says controller. See what happens now. I'm going to just click and enter. And as you can see, it creates this contact us controller, right? So here is just Scaffold that Laravel creates for you. It scaffolds a class that uses the name contact us controller and extends from the base class controller here. So I'm just going to add here the controller base class because then it gives an error. And here we can create any method that you want to then be called on your route. So let's create here an example, for instance, opening our route file here. So we go to routes web here. And as you can see here, there was a route get / contact us, right? So when we are here on our Laravel page and we click on the contact us, as you remember, we created on the previous lesson this contact us form that appears here. So this contact us form appears because we have this closure function here that says return view contact us form. Now what we are going to do is basically to transform this closure into a call to our controller. So we just remove everything here, and on this contact us we just write contact us controller, and then here you are going to call something that is the method that you want to call inside your controller when this route pattern is called here on this HTTP get verb. So for instance, I'm just going to call it like render. So it means that when I write this contact us on the address bar here on the top, it will try to reach this controller and then call the method called render. Okay, this method doesn't exist here. So let's see what happens now if I just click and enter here. It says method render does not exist on the app HTTP controller contact us controller. So this is something nice here is that you don't need to write the full namespace in Laravel when you are creating controllers on these app HTTP controllers, because it will automatically inherit that, and you just need to actually write it from here, from the base namespace controllers, and then it takes from there. In case you have directories, then you just put another directory and another directory there, just like in a normal auto-load logic. So as you can see here, contact us controller, you have this render. So let's just go here and write public function render. And at the end, we just want to do return view. And we want to return the view that we were calling before here. So we just want to return the contact us form and nothing else. So if I do now an F5, it shows the form because it's returning that view that previously was a closure here on the route, as you can remember, right? Now, in case you just have a controller that just has one single action, you don't need to pass the name of the method. And here, instead of passing the name of the method, you just write invoke. And as you can see, now if I do an F5, it continues to show this contact us form because it is loading here this view. So just again, as an example, I'm just going to change it to welcome so you can see that it's working as it is expected on this case. Now, it's also possible to pass parameters on your route that then are loaded on the controller as arguments. So let's take an example here. Let's pass like contact us and then / and you say that you want to pass an ID. Okay, so as you can see, this parameter here will be binding inside the controller also with the same name. So if I go here to the invoke and I write ID, okay, so in this moment I'm just passing the ID that I have here is going to be passed here. So again, if I come here and I do /1, nothing happens because I'm actually loading the view and passing the ID. But if I want to see the value that was passed there, so all we need to do is just to actually pass it somewhere. So I'm just going to do a die and dump, so you can see dump and die, sorry. So you can see here, so dump and die ID. So if I do an enter, it shows the number 1. So as you can see, Laravel has a very simple way for you to connect the ID or the binding parameter, bind the parameters that you pass in a route with the arguments that you pass on the function. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is that the name that you give here is exactly the name that you also give here. And Laravel even goes a bit more further than that. It allows you to actually bind objects, in this case, or requests, or a model that we are going to learn in the next lessons. And you'll see that it also allows you to actually bind a model and automatically load that model here on this using this argument that is passed here. So let's advance now a bit more on our contact form and see this binding more in action. So I'm just going to create something here that is called a resource controller. So what is that? So I'm just going to remove this and show to you. So I'm going to delete this contact as controller, delete, and here I'm just going to remove this line, and I'm going to write another line. I'm going to write route resource here, and then I say contact us, in this case the route that I want to use, and then I say I want to use the contact us controller. And route resource controller resources are very strong because they allow us to automatically create all the functions that we need to use when you want to execute CRUD operations. You know, create, replace, update, and delete operations. So how does this work? I'm going to show to you in a very simple way. So you do a PHP artisan here, and then you say make controller, then you call contact, so it was contact us controller, and you say it's a resource. And I passed this parameter here that says resource. So when you see it, you see that it, in this case, I'm just adding here again the base class here for the controller. As you can see, it loads index, create, store, show, edit, update, and destroy. So these are all the operations that normally you do on the controller when you are executing your operations. For instance, I don't know, to imagine that you are managing cars. Okay, so it's sure you'll have your model that is a car, so your entity or object that is a car. So you want to, you want to show all the cars that you have on your database. So it's the index. You want to show the form to create a new car. That will be the create. You want to save a new car on the database. So as you can see here, there is a dependency injection that is passed by this request. So it will accept to receive the request that comes from your form and then act here. And at the end, you also have the show to show one specific car, or show the form to edit a car or update a car given new values, and finally to destroy and to delete the car from the database, from your storage, right? So we are going to change now our contacts form just to execute this kind of code here. So for instance, what happens now in terms of routes? So when I write this route resource contact us, it automatically generates a series of routes for all of those operations that are here. So let's see how we can see that. So we have PHP artisan, and you do a route list. Sorry. And when you do a route list, it shows you all the routes that you have configured on your web PHP routes file. And here as you can see, you have already this contactors.index, contactors.store, contactors.create. So it's the name, as you know, remember the name, the route names. So it automatically gives a name that you can use on. So what we are going to do now is we are going just to quickly submit our contact form and see how we can actually access the data on the controller. So again, we have this contact us form that is here, and we have this all of these new routes that were created: index, store, create, show, update, destroy, and edit. And when you want to show the contact form, so actually what you want to do is actually to receive information and create a new contact request, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to use this create here, and then we are going to use this store to then store that contact information on the database. So this is where we are going to start talking on the next lessons more deeper on this operation. So for now, what we're going to do is just to submit the form. So here on our contact us, we have this form role equals to form. So I actually have the form here. So we just pass method equals to post and action. So here comes now the action that you want to do. So you want to post this into this contactors.store, right? Because first we are going to use this contactors.create to show the contact form, and then the contactors.store. So that's what I'm going to do. Sorry, I need to put the blade element here inside. So we just write route and then contactors.store in this case. So when we go back here to our route list, you can see that there is a contact us index, right? And the store and the create. So what we are going to do now is on our welcome, we have here the contact us, remember? And instead of routing to this contact us that doesn't exist anymore, so we're going to route it to contactors.create, right? So what we're saying is that here on this first screen, when I click here, it's going to the create that is already, the method already exists, right, as you know. So what happens is that it doesn't show anything because we need to go to our create and then do as we did just before, return view contact us form on this case, and then here you go. So contact us create is one of the operations on your resource controller. So create means show us something that we'll create on the database. So the show is, we also have the method show. Show is show us something that was already created, and create is create something for the first time, and this is where we are going to show this this form here. Very well. So the next step now is to go back to our form and pass here our cross-site request forgery token. So I'm just going to write it here. So this is something that you always write on your posts, as we saw on a previous lesson. You just need to pass here the CSRF token for the active session where we are right now. So if I go back here and I do an F5 and I do view source, as you can see, there is this token here that when you submit your form, it will be understood by and validated by the Laravel framework itself to be used. So here you have a name, an email, a reason, and notes. So here very quickly you have a name, email, reason, and notes. So everything is fine. We have the input names, and then we have a submit here that, as you can see, when I do view source, the action is already going here. So it's a post to the contact us. So if you go back here, you see that we'll have here a post to the contact us that will be the contactors.store, and it will be called on the store method on your contact us controller. So pretty simple. It's going to be here. So I'm just going to die and dump and say we have submitted our form. And here now we go here back to the form. I do an F5 and I do send information, and it says we have submitted our form. So as you can see, it was very simple again. So let's just recap very quickly. We do the route resource. In this case, we are using a route resource. When you do a PHP artisan route lists, you can see all the routes that you have created. By the route resource, it immediately creates all of these ones that are here, these 7 ones. we are using the contact us create to actually create the form that is shown here. So what I did was on our welcome, I just placed it down to link to a contact us create. On the create function or action, how it's called controller action, we return the view contact us form. That is actually this view that we are seeing here before. And when I send information, I send information. So how can you now access that information? So I'm just going to write here my name, like Bruno, and my email. And the controller will be executed using the dependency injection and inject the request here. So this request object that is here allows you to then access the data that came from the server. So I'm just going to do from the client. I'm just going to do a dump and die. And again, if I do send information, it shows you here the object being instantiated. And here on this one, if you go to these attributes, if you go to these parameters, request parameters here, you see that I passed my name, I passed my email, I passed the drop-down list by default was saying sales, and there is no notes. So this is how you access the information. So for instance, if I do a request and then name, and then I do an F5, it shows Bruno Falcão. So as you can see, this is how you access information that was posted on the client directly to the server on this case. And that's it. So this lesson for now is finished. On the next lesson, we are going to enter more in detail about this posting the data and then saving on the database. We're also going to understand how we can validate data and also how we can use something called middlewares to filter the data and filter the request that comes from the client. And I hope you enjoyed, and see you again on the next lesson. Thank you very much.